This is what Yuumi would look like on Shaco if they are both put to skill. This is what Yuumi would look like on Kai'Sa if they were both put to skill. This is what Yuumi would look like on Malphite if they were put to skill. And this is what Yuumi would look like on Aurelion Sol, or I guess not look like. Anyways, just remember the next time your Malphite dies to a Shaco E, it essentially just died to getting hit by a sliver. That is one dramatic rock. Did you know in the True Damage Giant cinematic released in 2019, you can actually see an Arcane poster? It's a pretty cool Easter egg looking back on it now. It just shows how planned this whole thing was. A group of Poros isn't called a pack, nor is it called a herd, but it's actually called a fluffed. This guy made a mod that starts playing Thomas the Train every time Sion uses his ultimate, which is pretty great. It'd be pretty crazy if Riot allowed you to customize your ultimate sounds for every champion. Guys, it's a scary world we live in. Everyone and their mom is out there trying to take personal information from you over the internet or sabotage your next rank game so you can't hit Challenger, or more realistically, Silver. Anyways, this is the exact reason that I use ExpressVPN to protect myself. ExpressVPN masks your IP address so rival players can't DDoS you or find out where you live, which I've heard is a pretty good thing. Not having random people show up at your door is a big thumbs up. ExpressVPN also prevents other people from seeing what you're searching and what sites you visit. On top of all that, ExpressVPN can change your location entirely. Some movies like Your Name on Netflix, for example, isn't available in North America. However, it is available in, say, Australia. So if I just change my location on ExpressVPN to say I'm in Australia, then suddenly I can actually watch it, which is actually pretty freaking awesome. For less than $7 a month, ExpressVPN lets you access thousands of new shows and movies on not just Netflix, but Disney+, BBC iPlayer, and a ton of other streaming services as well. So make sure to download ExpressVPN today, and if you use my link, you'll get an extra 3 months of ExpressVPN for completely free. And thank you, ExpressVPN, for supporting this channel. Now back to the video. League of Legends players watched over 138 million hours of League on Twitch alone in August 2021. These guys went out of their way to make their very own League of Legends sobriety coins. The back reads, Rito, grant me the patience to accept matches I cannot change, courage to accept the rank that I am, and wisdom to just stop. The front reads, to thine own self be true, peace, kindness, recovery, and then 6 months in the middle. That's pretty impressive. 6 months is a long time. For those wondering, this was laser engraved, but dang, that coin actually looks pretty clean. OP.GG has gone through an insane amount of logos, and they're getting really good at updating them. There have also been some pretty great ones over the years, like Bob Ross Heimerdinger, Powerpuff Yordles, and Snowball Nunu. I mean, some of these are really creative, so whoever's in charge of these, keep it up. This is the best one though. Does anyone miss the old Poppy? Well, whenever I get sad about it, I just watch this, and then I'm fine for the rest of my life. It takes a total of 21,389 summoner experience to reach level 30 on League of Legends. When you play bot games, you get around 90 experience per game. And those games can sometimes take as long as 20 minutes, which means to reach level 30, you'd have to play a total of 150 hours of League of Legends. And that's assuming you play bot games. If you play normals, it'll mostly take even longer. Did you know in the infamous Faker versus Ryu Zed fight, both teams had a Shen, and both of the Shen's ultimates were up? I believe it was said that Ryu told Insec not to ult because he thought he had it easy, and then, well, that happened. Did you know that just a year ago, Riot was actually testing out adding a 7th item slot into the game? They ran a lot of different tests, but ultimately decided to hold off. However, they mentioned even though the 7th slot may not be used for another item in the future, they may add another item slot for something else, so who knows what they have in store for later. I mentioned in my first Veterans video that you used to be able to ignite minions in League, but what I didn't mention is that you can actually see it being done in Shaco's Champion Spotlight, like the old Champion Spotlight. Pretty weird. Here's a little chart of summoner spells showing their art progression from 2009 all the way up to what they look like today. And the craziest part about this is that heal and exhaust haven't changed since season 2. Also, I kinda like the old little ghost dude. So by now, most people know that killing the Nexus gives you 50 gold. But did you know that you can actually use that gold to buy an item maybe you couldn't afford beforehand? It's definitely a completely useless item, but hey, that's the point, isn't it? So I did a poll asking how old everyone was who played League of Legends, and these were the results. I'm not gonna lie, I thought there were gonna be a bit more in the 20 to 24 range, but other than that, I suppose that these were the results I expected. The snowball on the minimap of ARAM is actually really big when you throw it. It takes up the entire lane almost. Did you know that normals and ranked used to have a random champion button, but they ended up getting rid of it because people kept threatening to grief and hit the random button instead. Speaking of buttons, please consider hitting that sub button if you're enjoying, because a lot of you watching aren't subscribed. Thank you. The most banned champion in LEC history is Thresh with 686 bans, then followed by LeBlanc with 624 bans, Kalista with 547 bans, Elise with 506 bans, and Shen with 479 bans. Also, Also, I have to say, I appreciate the stuffed animals and chairs as replacements. This guy figured out that you could combo Echo's ultimate and Skarner's ultimate in Ultimate Spellbook to grab them and then immediately recall back to the fountain to instantly kill them. Honestly, pretty hype strategy, I have to say. Do you remember this guy who created his own champion concept called Brenvar? Well, they even took it a step further and made a little champion spotlight. It's kind of crazy how much effort's gone into it and how far it's been taken. This person made a real Jinx bomb out of metal, and this person made a real life replica of Pow Pow, which is actually pretty insane. They said it took them over 90 hours to complete and it weighed 7 pounds. Did you know Riot has offices not only in Los Angeles, but all over the world? In total, they have 20 to 30 offices located all over the place, which is pretty crazy. A long time ago, Riot actually gave out free room pages to people who went and voted for League in the Golden Joystick Awards. And though it isn't as big of a deal nowadays, back then it was huge because of the old rune system. Did you know you won't stop earning gold passively until 1 minute and 50 seconds on Summoner's Rift? And on ARAM, it isn't until 1 minute. On Summoner's Rift, you earn 20.4 gold per 10 seconds passively, and on ARAM, you earn 55 gold per 10 seconds. Which also brings up the question, how long would it take to get full build doing absolutely nothing? Well, let's assume all of your items besides boots average to about 3k gold, which is pretty fair. Well, since boots are worth 1100 gold, that would mean a full build would roughly cost 16,100 gold total. This means it would take 7,892 seconds to get full build passively, or 131 minutes. In other words, unless you're planning on having a really long game, you're never gonna get full build by sitting in the fountain. So to all of you out there who's been using AFKing as strategies to skill, you may want to switch things up. By the way, on ARAM, it would actually only take 48 minutes to get full build passively, so kind of doable, I guess. This guy took Skarner's rework into his own hands and decided to update him himself. The time and effort he put into this is actually ridiculous. The new animations and abilities look really smooth. It's crazy how talented the League of Legends community can really be sometimes. This dude broke his wrist, but instead of taking a break, he just decided to play Yuumi instead, which is honestly fair. All he does now instead is just press the abilities with a pen, which hey, whatever works. You can ping up to 6 times in a row before the game puts you in a timeout for 11 seconds. However, the more consistently you do it, the longer the timeout it gives you. And if you think 6 pings isn't enough, well, 4 years ago, you could only ping 4 times at a time. So we're pretty well off. You can also spam masteries 6 times at a time. This guy was having a little trouble surrendering an ARAM, which doesn't seem to be the only problem here. It might help if they didn't have negative 100 FPS. Either way, that'd be pretty funny if Riot added this into the game as an Easter egg one day. Just do it for April Fools or something. If you're ever wondering if you should Zhonya's in the middle of a base race, the answer is probably no, at least if you're trying to win, that is. It's kind of one of those things that you think is pretty self-explanatory, but it would appear not. 10 points for style though. According to Riot, 70% of accounts over level 30 placed in at least one rank queue, whether that be flex or solo queue. Not only that, but on a monthly basis, around 65% of active players play one or more ranked games. I guess we all like to suffer together. A couple years ago, someone asked if Riot would ever do an event pitching 2 themes together against each other, like Star Guardians versus Project, and this was their response.
I literally pitched that, not a skin line, but like a versus event where those two would come head to head. So really good idea.
So maybe sometime in the long distant future, it'll be released. Riot mentioned that the elo they look at when considering a nerf or a buff is primarily anything plat or above, which means if you're getting absolutely roasted in iron or bronze by Yi consistently, but it's not really affecting higher elo, then it'll probably stay in the game. Still, there are certain circumstances that if it's bad enough, Riot will still make a change. Riot mentioned that the reason they made the Void purple was primarily because it stood well against the green on Summoner's Rift. However, lore-wise, they argue that it's not actually purple, it's just the absence of light. No, the Runeterra universe is not flat. There was a terrifying glitch that used to happen called taunt skating, and it made for some really weird animations. Over the years, there's been a lot of League of Legends accounts created, like a lot. On the North American server alone, there are 4.7 million accounts level 31 or above, 2.7 million accounts exactly at level 30, 20.5 million accounts below level 30, and 2.1 million accounts level 1. In total for NA, there are over 28 million accounts. However, this is still nothing compared to the Chinese servers. There are 27 Chinese servers, and between those servers, there are 115 million League of Legends accounts. That's a lot of Smurfs. Did you know that the magic resistance icon is blue in the HUD next to your champion, but if you click on someone, it's actually purple, and it's the only one to change color. AD and armor are still the same. Instead of just hitting tab, you can also hit hit the O button to see champion stats and items. Not that you'd want to, but just thought you should know. This is what happens when you reroll skins but already have pretty much every skin in the game. Call Me Shadow said he spent about $4,000 on this account to obtain all of these skins. Also, fun fact, apparently when you own every single skin in the game and someone skin boosts you in ARAM, it doesn't even bother to change your skin anymore. So I guess if you didn't want someone to change your favorite skin in ARAM from a boost, all you have to do is spend $4,000 and you're good to go. This person made 3D models of Leandri's Torment, Infinity Edge, and Immortal Shield Bow. It'd be pretty cool if Riot displayed items like these in the client. Not necessarily for when you're playing, but maybe if you're looking up items in your collection tab. There are a different amount of challenger spots open for each region depending on how big the region is. NA has 700 spots for Grandmasters and 300 spots for Challenger, while Japan only has 100 spots for Grandmasters and 50 Challenger slots. Some are also more in the middle with 200 Challenger slots, like Brazil or Turkey. Did you know that League of Legends was once on Steam, but it was quickly removed? However, it is now on the Epic Game Store, along with Riot's other new games coming out, like the Song of Nunu. If you remove the S in Summoner's Rift, you get Ummoner's Rift, which also shares the same first two letters as the word umbrella. As always, make sure to send any info you got to outsidejokelol@gmail.com, and thanks for watching. Yo, thank you Josh Poo and Stefan for being tier 3 patrons, and of course, thank you so much to my other patrons as well. Bye.